And welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, all veteran owned businesses, Cason Shaving Company, Black Cat Designs, and Savage American Woodwork. And this is different, right? Usually by this time my show is done. I'm doing post stuff. I'm wrapping it up, and I'm done for the week. I'm done, but not this week. Less than 24 hours ago, I'm on the Facebook message board. And I see this message say, "Hey, can you anybody want to have me on their show?" And I'm like, "Well, who is this me?" And it's Brandi Pett. She's a U.S. Air Force veteran. Got out as a staff sergeant with a. I've been following her podcast for quite some time, and just seeing her mature and get into this space as I have done. And so, um, we're going to bring Brandi, who's Oscar Mike right now, into the stream here in a second, and we're going to go live and do this live with Brandi Pett, and then I'll post production it all and make it a show with the website and everything. But without any further ado, I'm going to flip a switch here, and we're going to bring on Brandi. Hang on, here we go. Here we go.
Hey,
Brandi,
how are you doing?
I'm savage, Brandi. I'm savage. We're Semper Gumby. We're doing this thing. Thank you so much for coming on with Oscar Mike Radio. I'm glad we're able to make this connection. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a wild few months. Been doing. I host the Yes I Am the Veteran podcast. We actually go live Thursdays at 8 Central Standard, so I appreciate you working with me tonight and having me on. It definitely was not something that was expected. I had a last minute cancellation, and I love to do cross podcasts whenever I can, just because of the fact that I love to interact with other brothers and sisters that are doing it, because being a podcaster is not easy. I don't know if you ever really talk about it at length, but I appreciate you. But I am a Air Force veteran. Don't hold it against me. And the only chair I was ever issued was the one with wheels on it. So sorry to disappoint.
Not disappointed. You know what I feel like, Brandi, right now? I feel like, one of those, I'm a DC Comics guy. I feel like we're doing like this Batman, Wonder Woman, crossover event, this mega big trade paperback. And, here we are, two like superheroes, if you will, having a great time tonight. So it's all good. It's all good. So, I've been, like I said, I've been kind of following your story. I listen to some of your shows, and I kind of know what you do. But, you joined the Air Force. Now, I ask every Air Force veteran this question when they come on Oscar Mike Radio. Did you ever go through Barksdale Air Force Base?
I did not. I was stationed at Travis for my clinical rotation, and then I went to Cannon, fondly known as Afghanistan, per the military times. And it was so funny because whenever Marines or Army would go there TDY, they would yell at us because they were like, "It's supposed to be better here." I'm like, "I'm sorry." And then I went to England, and most of the physicals that I did, especially for confinement, were on Navy members because they would get into some trouble in London. But I was always the person who was like, "What'd you do?"
So, yeah, you were like a medic in medicine in Air Force. How does that work? I mean, how do Air Force guys ever get sick? I mean,
Yep. So I was. What was your question? I'm sorry.
do Air Force guys ever get sick?
It's them. They're sometimes their spouses are worse. Usually all the time the spouses are worse. But I honestly I love when I worked pediatrics, flight medicine. I dealt with a lot of the pilots. I would do FAA physicals, initial flight class ones, twos, threes, enlistment physicals, Dobber physicals. You name it, I could do it. And A lot of times I would get generals out of their waiver. When I went to England, that's when I really didn't. Well, I guess I was made fully aware that I was able to do physicals others could not, because it was a dying skill set, because they combined the 4F field, which is like the physical technicians, with the 4N field, which is the aerospace medical technicians, which is what I was. And I was taught by actual 4Fs how to do everything. So that's why
Oh, that's me.
even to this day, I can still review any medical record. And Anne is actually part of Miss Veteran America, which I ran for in 2020. So she commented, I love her. But really, with doing physicals, I mean, it was important just to document and help people. And that doesn't stop when your enlistment ends. And I think a lot of people do that. Well, I got your 6, but they don't mean it. And I think more people need to actually start helping the other brothers and sisters out that are in sure need, because we're in need. And for me, a lot of times I have a lot of exposure that they should be claiming, and they have no idea that it's there. So I really try to review records and just to identify to veterans, hey, you need to be claiming for this. You need to see your VSO. If you don't have one, I can refer you to someone that's retired, but is a phenomenal resource, and she can give you the information that you need, so that way you can get compensated appropriately. But after I competed for Miss Veteran America, I saw that there was a lot of I wanted to help others, because I know what it's like to be truly lost. And when we talk a bit about more about my story, I'll explain better. But that's why I try to help so much, either with educating through my podcast, doing videos, or even just events, just to empower other people.
So let's go back and kind of like the comic book heroes that we're kind of like right now. Kind of tell us the origin story. Now, you got in the Air Force and you did that, but you also encountered some challenges there that really kind of set the arc of your life. So kind of take us down that road, if you would.
So when I was in the military, my absolute goal wasn't, because a lot of people say those who can't do teach. No, that's crap. Like, I wanted to teach because of the fact that if you had to come to my house with the ambulance, you better know how to do it as good as I could. That's why I taught. Okay, so I taught CPR instructors. I taught EMT. I was an immunology technician, so I can legally say I gave my ex-husband anthrax. Yes, because I did that, and I also cursed out an American Idol contestant one time because he was being extra with a throat culture. I was getting mad. I had 5 patients. Anyways, but for me, I went from being that way to being a pariah, basically. So what happened? What happened was, all the best and worst stories start with what happened was, I had arterial blood clots, and I didn't know it, and instead of treating me, they ignored it for 6 weeks. I just deployed, and all the ones that were questionable, we'll say, they stayed. One of them was a Harvard graduate, might add, and she was the good one. But at the end of the day, my legs started turning purple. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I literally couldn't move 50 feet. I was propelling myself around with office furniture. I was going to rheumatologists. I was going and getting Dopplers done, all the tests, and they said, you're too fat. It's because you're fat. And I was much smaller than I am now, and they literally told me that I was making it up. I was a malingerer. I found out later that my supervisor, who was off of her medications due to her divorce, she was going to the clinics and telling them I was a malingerer. I made it up. I had a history of doing this, so they didn't take me seriously. But it was serious, and quite literally, my legs were purple. And very fortunately so, I was in Cambridge, near Cambridge, about 30 minutes away or so. And those of you guys don't know, Cambridge, like the university itself, is considered one of the best in the world. It's like top 3. It's phenomenal. Oxford is right up there as well, but Cambridge, absolutely, like the best of the best go there. Well, in England, it's not like the United States. We always think, oh, it's free healthcare, it's so much better. But we're not. Think 1970s Nurse Ratched medicine, right? Like, they don't even have, like, most of the time, like, they don't have wheelchairs. They don't have a lot of things that we take for granted here in hospitals. Like, the average hospital bay is about 8 to 12 people, at least, and that's the ICUs. There's one phone, and it's at the nurse's station. If you want to watch TV, you have to pay for it, and the phone as well. But basically, I told the doctors because my ex-husband was about to deploy. I was like, because I basically felt like I was dipped in fire, and they sent me home after giving me like morphine and everything else.
Wow.
And admitting me, they sent me home, and I was purple from the waist down, and then my right arm started turning purple. I couldn't even put my bra on. Like, that sounds odd, but you have to put your arms behind your back. I couldn't do it. And I literally was doing physicals, propelling myself. And all these doctors, there was about 10 physicians there. They watched me do this and did nothing. And that was the worst part. And what I compare it to is like a bunch of death, because it's exactly what happened. I basically heard a voice that said, if you do not get care in the next, I'm sorry?
Yeah, so nobody in your I don't know what they call it in the Air Force, but squad, none of your staff NCOs or NCOs are like saying, "Hey, ma'am, sir, one of my airmen is having like a for-real problem here."
My NCO tried to physically beat me and burn my house down. We were in a meeting because the other airmen were afraid, and because she was threatening them, she was rocking, she was talking to people that weren't there, and I was not afraid of her, and I wasn't trying to fight either, but I was trying to stand up for the other airmen that were concerned. Because like, she was snapping at them and yelling at them, and she was yanking my hair and stuff because I cut it all off. Believe it or not, I had really short hair once, and I would cut it to rags, because there's always that one dude that takes the picture of the back of your head just to be. Either way, though, like for me, I tried my best to defend the airman against her. She literally threatened, because I was like, you grabbing me like this is assault. Like, you understand that as an EMT. I know this because I certified you. She literally jumped the table, and my superintendent, and my section NCOIC each had to grab a leg from her and pull her back. And instead of helping me, I want to teach her. We want her to learn.
Learn what?
They wanted her to learn how to super lead. I don't know, man. Like, I just worked there. But yeah, like, I literally had just gotten my CCAF as a senior airman before I went to airman leadership school. So I had my associate's degree. Like, I was gunning to be a PA, and I had to be in the fall, and I had my blood clots, and I was air evac August 4th. My alive day is June the 30th. And when everything happened to me, basically, they didn't believe it was real. Like, they're like, how are you still alive? Because I went to England, like the British hospital, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take my chances with the British and deal with Nurse Ratched medicine. Like, I don't care. I know something's wrong with me. And so I did. It is the ER. The reason why is because you can be in the ER waiting to get admitted for weeks. Weeks. You could be waiting there.
Weeks?
And yes, weeks. Not days, not hours. I mean weeks. And that's why I was afraid to go. And I was admitted in less than 12 hours, which is unheard of, and in surgery. And when they did the angiogram, which is where they inject dye into your legs and take pictures to see like how well your arteries are working, or your heart as well. Like for me, it was in my legs. They lit up like a Christmas. They were like there's no way how are you still alive? I had 30 millimeters of clots in each leg, 10 centimeters in my right arm, and then they later found I had a 4 centimeter by 2 centimeter clot on my left ventricle. I'm in 2 medical journals.
How are you still alive, Brandi?
It's a legitimate question. I'm gonna say spite.
You're
I really wanted to make staff, actually. That sounds really stupid now, but I had just tested for E5, and I really, really, really wanted to be in. I wanted to be a staff sergeant. That, like, I wanted it to be like, you know, like, it's like so dumb. Like, turn up with my friends. Like, and it sounds dumb now, but it was so important because my ex was a staff, and I was like, okay, he can't outrank me. Like, I'm done. Like, we're not doing this. So, like, being middle to middle, I was like, I can't. So, like, every day I'd wake up because I was there for like 2 months. I'd wake up and I'd say, did I make staff sergeant? Did the results come out? Like, because I didn't know what day it was. Like, I wouldn't know if I missed hours or days. I was going into surgery. So it saved me. It's a whole lot mess. I'm sorry. But what saved me was that the physician that treated me treats the Queen of England. Well, the former Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth. Like, the second, he actually treated her. He was her private vascular surgeon. He just so happened to be there. That, like, at that time, and like, literally, I woke up and they were literally cursing me out, and they were like, do you know who you're seeing? And I'm like, I don't know. So hopefully a professional. That's the Queen of England's private vascular surgeon that's treating you. And there was like a team of like 5 dudes. And it was an experience. They had never had a wound vac. They actually had to have one sent from Balad for my leg because I had, imagine kinking a garden hose for like 6 weeks and then letting it go. What do you think would happen?
Oh, it's just a mess.
Yeah, well,
It's just
that's what
all of a sudden your fluid's thrown through your leg, right?
Yeah, a mess. Yeah. Well, that show it off quite a bit. And and one is to show people it's okay to be different, and you don't have to be like the perfect veteran stereotype, because really, like, is it reasonable for most people? No. Like, you know, be who you are, be weird, like, be unique. Like, you know, you can be scarred and be female, but there's an unfortunate double standard when it comes to that. And I have scars all over. I'm actually categorized as the worst scarred veteran in San Antonio because some of my scars go to the bone. They unkinked the hose, I guess. I will say the arteries. So I only have 2 out of 6 working arteries in my legs now. And when they unkinked it, basically I immediately had compartment syndrome. They actually had, so like, think like a hot dog when you microwave it too long and then like the casing explodes.
Right.
Well, that happens with your fascia also, which is like hot dog casing to your muscle, which is why they say is the most painful kind of procedure that you can have, like surgery wise, because of the fact you're cutting through so many nerves. And I literally have one from my ankle to my knee on both sides.
I've seen some of the pictures. I'm like, this is no joke. I
Yeah.
didn't know all the technical details of what happened, but I'm like, this isn't like an owie.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any idea what caused these blood clots, or was it just literally you're walking around one day and you started turning purple, for lack
Well,
of a better term?
yeah. They did a lot of tests on it, like 2 years of tests, because they were like, what happened? And I mean, they tested for everything under the sun, and they determined that it was lupus and a phospholipid syndrome, but they couldn't prove it because it only tested positive once, and you have to test 3 times. So basically, they just were like, we're gonna just retire her. But it was unfortunate because when everything happened to me, I was treated very differently because I was not combat injured. I wheelchair confiscated. That actually happened. They were angry that I had to go to the ER when I landed to make sure I didn't die, and they literally made me check into the front desk in the gurney. I'm not lying to you. I literally had to hand in my ID card on a striker. That happened, and I was dying of embarrassment. Like,
This is the Air Force doing this?
yeah, literally when I was there, you know how like the Fisher House, like, we'll take everybody. They actually would not take me. Like, story, I'm not talking crap. I had to hear my commander in the ICU beg them to take me in England. And they were literally like, I'm sorry, she's not deployed. We can't help her. And I'm like, oh, like, what am I going to do now? Like, I thought, like, I raised my right hand, to fight to the death. But here I am dying and nobody wants me. They literally did the whole don't call me, we'll call you sort of thing. I was left by myself. I didn't have a caregiver. I was in England for, like, packing us up because we were mill to mill. No one checked on me. I literally just went to they was like, go to your appointments. And they tried putting me in a moldy hotel room that was not wheelchair accessible and is now torn down. I literally had to sleep on like the couch of a friend of like my ex brother-in-law. And this is in 2008, by the way. This is not like in the 90s, 2009. I was air vac in 2008, but I was 23. I was very young, and I was retired at 25, which is like really weird to say. But it was hard knowing that nobody wanted me. Like, and it was the only thing that saved me was my commander that I had worked under in England, who I love because he was such an amazing neurologist, and he would love to teach, and he would just have airmen just watch what he was doing, just because he knew it was important for them to learn to PCS at the same time as me. When he did, after a while, they got tired of having to like lie to him or like misrepresent where I was, because he was like, where is she, and they didn't know. And so after a while, they're like, you're gonna have to come in here. And then they tried having me work 18-hour days or 8-hour days, 7% circulation in my legs. Like, I literally couldn't even like stand and walk for 10 feet, and I was still in agony. I had my doctor write a profile, like, because he was like, absolutely not. My hematologist was like, no way, you cannot do this. And I was trying, man. I was trying to put my boots on. I was like sobbing because I had to put Birkenstock sandals attached to a brace. Imagine how that went over. If you had to wear sandals and uniform, imagine how that went over.
Not well.
I
Not
cried.
well.
I cried when he gave me that brace.
Mm.
And my feet were so swollen, I could only wear it for, and it would look like I was spit on. I was called a disgrace. I was told I was a POS. I was told I should be beaten. And these are by NCOs that outranked me. And so I felt like, well, maybe I am what they say. Maybe I am a monster. Maybe I am a disgrace. Because I was told this every time I wore the uniform. I got to the point where I didn't want to wear it. And it would give me anxiety to do it because I knew I couldn't do it. I could not wear boots for a decade. I'm gonna cry now. I remember running and having a pair made just for the competition because you have to compete in a dress and boots. And I remember they had to attach an AFO brace, which is like the Forrest Gump brace that picks your foot up. And I remember being so excited to wear boots again. That sounds really dumb. Because like everyone thinks like just like throw some boots on, like, rah, like, but it's not so easy for everybody. I barely can wear closed-toe shoes now. I still wanted to teach. I was an EMT instructor, so I rewrote all the protocols for the Air Force at the time. I worked for the EMT instructor with the Air Force. Because a lot of people were failing. So like I was writing protocol books for the instructors so they could teach and certify people and have better results. But literally I had to stop teaching because I had chiefs, wives, and seniors tell me, well, why are we even here? She's a POS. Like, she's not even in uniform. And mind you, I had a profile. Obviously, I'm not going to work around sandals just chilling. Like, no. And I had to stop teaching CPR for the same reason. Like, my students were like, because a lot of times they would outrank me, and they would, you see, she AFO, make sure you file for your clothing allowance, Jeremy. It's the end of this month, 31st. So you guys know, I'm gonna sidetrack on that. An AFO brace it flexes your foot up basically. However, there's actually a VA clothing allowance that's $953 this year, issued within 2 years. So a shoulder brace, a knee brace, a cream that stains your clothes, anything like that, you can file with your VA. You just go to your local prosthetics, or you can go to va.gov and file online. I prefer prosthetics, so that way I can get the timestamp. But it's a use or lose. You cannot get back paid. I literally lost $10,000 that way. I didn't know for a decade. But the worst thing they'll tell you is no. But say if you have like an amputation, you can get allowance for the actual like prosthetic, the wheelchair, anything else you're given. So just wanted to give that to your guys, your veterans, just because it's almost the end of that time. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
But no, for me, when I retired, I actually had my drill sergeant retire me because I found him when I was there. I was like, oh my God, why are you still here? But he had PCS back, and he agreed to be my proffer, and then I had my commander be my MC. But they actually denied my medal. They literally said that giving me a medal, which I earned, right? Because I wasn't as bad. I wasn't bad. Like, I didn't have time. I was like too much. I was helping too many doctors. Like, I didn't have time. I was like Speedy Gonzalez, like running around crazy.
So just pause for a second. You're in, forget sustained discomfort, forget acute pain. You're in chronic pain 24/7. Your command is basically tossing you away like a piece of garbage. But yet you're still trying to help the Air Force be better, to help your fellow airmen and women be better. Where did that come from, Brandi?
I like to help my airmen. I'm retired now, so I don't know how much I help the Air Force. And honestly, I think that as long as they help other people not have my experience, I would be happy with that personally. Just because that was horrible. They get a promotion ceremony. Like, all my friends called me drunk. I actually made it the top 1% that year for NCO, and it meant a lot to me. And I was crying by myself in a wheelchair. It was pretty much like the lamest promotion party of all time. But for me, I like helping other people, and not even just Air Force veterans. To be quite honest, I help more Marines. It seems like, especially because I worked at Vet Radio Syndicate. I've worked other places where they are more Marine heavy and they deal with Marines. So I try to just help any veteran that needs help. I don't discriminate based on, you were in this branch, I'm not going to help you. Like, I give them a hard time, of course, but no, I like to help all veterans just because of the fact that I know what it's like to be truly failed.
You go through all this and you get separated. What happens physically, emotionally, mentally when you start transitioning from being an Air Force Staff Sergeant to Brandi Pett civilian trying to figure it out?
Oh, it ruined me. Like, I was destroyed for a long time. And because of the fact that I didn't have the element of choice, I was told I would never work again. I would never walk again. I would never hold a job. I would never have kids. I'm going to lose both legs by 40, and I'm 38. like, I don't know. Like, imagine, how would you live your life if you had an expiration date on your legs? And this isn't just one doctor telling me this. I've got like 13 different doctors.
Get out. 13.
Like, how would you live your life if you...
Yep. I'd probably ride my motorcycle till I just couldn't ride it anymore. I'd be on it 24/7.
Yep. That's why I'm going to Rammstein next week. Because of the fact that at the end of the day, like, and I have such wild adventures. Like, I was fortunate enough to, I interviewed 2 Live Crew last summer. Mr. Mix is an Air Force veteran, by the way. Did you know that?
No.
Mr. Mix is totally...
I was
Air Force at the exact same place. He was stationed at lived because it was a general there when he was stationed there.
I was banned in the USA.
Yeah, well, you ask me, yeah, the Pop That Kitty, like that's the song they sing is the Fight Walkout song. They sang a walkout, like the Major Payne song. They sang it live into the actual octagon. I have video, like that happened. Like, but they donated their after proceeds. I really, but I've met like UFC legends. I went to the UFC Hall of Fame induction for Kevin Randleman, and I was really scared they were gonna be mean to me about my leg because I was wearing a short, like a cocktail dress. I was like, someone's gonna say something because people always say stuff about my leg, and that's why I like make it a corset and I do all kinds of wild stuff to the scar because it freaks people out and it makes me amused. I think like 5 million people have watched like videos I've made this year. It's kind of horrifying. But horrified like that they were gonna say, and I met Mark Coleman, who was the first heavyweight champion, a godfather of ground and pound himself. I met El Guapo, Boss Rudin. I met Johnny Bones just before he got arrested, actually. But he is a super, super cool guy. I met Dustin Poirier, like super cool guy. Like I had lipstick on my teeth, and I asked him to retake the photo because I was like, "Please, will you let me retake the photo with you? Because I'm gonna forever like see this like lipstick on my teeth. It's gonna drive me crazy because you make crazy faces." But he actually raised $500,000 auctioning off his fight shorts because when he was fighting Conor McGregor, when he broke his leg against him, Conor McGregor actually bought the shorts, and it all went to charity, which I thought was really cool.
Oh,
But
cool.
just meeting them, it was really cool. It was a very interesting experience. My daughter was severely bitten in the face. A kid chewed through her cheek at daycare. Like she actually had to have like it sutured shut. It looked like a demented happy face, and she was 18 months old, and she was really fixated on that. And they were maybe like in the magazines or singers or people in the media, and I couldn't find anybody. Like I could find skin conditions, but I couldn't really find a lot of visibly scarred women to show her. So I decided my wild self after watching way too much Dragula, Rammstein videos, and Miss Veteran America's Serve Like a Girl documentary. I decided I was going to run for Miss Veteran America. And my daughter believed that if I won it, I'd become Captain America, which is adorable. But yeah, well, it's full-time chair after Audie Murphy VR. Yeah, oh man, like Audie Murphy is a good VA though. I can't even say that much about it. But yeah, I like to fight in my wheelchair. I purposely lose it. So but did you have any other questions? I'm so sorry. I'm jumping all over the place.
No, this is cool. This is cool. This is the best part about being live is we get to kind of be a little bit more free flowing. I guess.
Oh.
Oh, what?
I was gonna say I did win an infamous award, but you're probably gonna make fun of me. So I don't know.
No, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So when you run for Miss Veteran America, you apply for different. You can apply for different awards, right? Like
Okay.
they're like this big. Like they're not little. Like little guys. Like they're not like the little participation awards. These are giant glass trophies like this, right? They're like 5 pounds. Like I was even surprised. Like one is like the Barbie Ritzko Resilience Award. One is the Hot Mama of the Year Award. One is there's so many. There's either way. So I applied for the Hot Mama of the Year Award and the Barbie Ritzko Resilience Award, and the Social Butterfly. That's one. There's a whole bunch. But I basically was a smart aleck when I wrote my package. So I was like, well, I lost 80 pounds and an ex-husband and, like all this other stuff. And I was just like being a smart aleck. And I actually won it.
So
the joke is on me. So, and I actually was really upset. I have no clue what the award like speech was.
So sometimes it's better just to wing it. It's just, you know what? You get up there, be confident, and just go for it.
I about died. My daughter told her kindergarten teacher that I was the hot mom of the year, and her teacher didn't believe her. And I had to actually say, "No, I really am." Like, here's the photo, and they're like, "No way." So it's just like whenever I in the eye when I answer it.
Have I won any awards?
No, I'm saying if I like when people ask me
Oh,
like,
if you
want anything or tell me about yourself, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to mention it, man. Like, because I already know what looks I'm gonna get.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So you were in this bad space for a long time, and then you got out, and you were still like, you know, man, what do I do? But it seems like you started, I don't know, attacking life again, Brandy. What caused you to start doing that? Because now I'm looking you up, folks. Look, she is an author. She is a journalist. She has, you know, competed at, you know, Miss Veteran America. You know, all this stuff in your podcast, which is extremely successful, but that didn't happen overnight. What caused you to look at this as a way that you can advocate for veterans and people, even though, man, life is absolutely just kicking your can all over the place, to kind of paraphrase a song?
For me, it really was. I hid from people for about a decade. The reason why I did this was because of the fact that so many people, they call me a freak, a monster, a disgrace. I mean, I'd be getting a pedicure and I'd roll my pants up and people would freak out. I was told to cover up because I was scaring children at swimming pools. Because I have scars from my groin, well, actually from my like demented zippers, like, and people didn't know how to act about it. And instead of being a teachable moment for their kids, they would embarrass me in front of their kids. And so I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm just gonna hide from people, and I'm gonna just not tell anybody I was a veteran, and I'm just gonna you know leave people, like leave my, I guess, just myself out of everybody life, and just pull away. And that's common with, like, a lot of us tend to self isolate or distance ourselves because we don't think people understand. And so for me, it really was, I watched this documentary called Serve Like a Girl. And it's about the Miss Veteran America competition. And no, there is no swimsuit competition. You actually have to do push ups on stage. And like with the drill sergeant, no less, like they put you through it. Like there's no like, we're gonna take it easy on, no, you're staff sergeant. It's great, actually. Um, but for me, what it motivated me was seeing that there was an amputee that competed, and it meant a lot to me because I was like, "There's finally something I can do." Because I can't do a Silky's hike. Like, I do not. Okay, no, I do not. I do not have the physical capacity to do it, and I'm not letting someone push me in a wheelchair. I'll fight you. Like, no, like. I'll do the tank wheelchair though. But and some of my friends also, but they're crazy expensive. Do you know those tanks are like 30 to $40,000?
What?
Yeah, those ones on the tank, the wheelchairs, they're
Yeah,
30 to 40
yeah.
grand. Yep.
With the track wheels and the
Yep.
seat spins, 40K for one of
Yep.
those.
That's a car. It's a car, literally. I checked, trust me. Like I was like, how dare you? Like, but no, for me, it was the whole process because you have to do meetings, you have to do things. And I wanted to be a good example for my daughter because she was 5, and she didn't even know I served because I hadn't told anybody. Like I hid everything in my closet because I was so ashamed. Like I didn't tell anybody, and except, people that knew me. And once I did it, and I realized that there's a lot of people out there that need to hear some of the things that I know help them, I needed to continue it. And after Miss America's, because the whole point of it is not to like look but good and have the best tits. That's not it. It's about raising money for. I said what I said. But it's raising money for homeless women veterans and their children, because many times the VA will not cover their children. They'll say basically you have to pick a kid, or we can cover home, we can give you shelter, but not someone else. In the hood housing, a lot of times they don't have locks on MSTs like that. They don't feel safe with their kids being in there, and honestly, I can't blame them. I've had crew chiefs slide into my window with a bottle of baby oil. I mean, I scared them off, but at the end of the day, it could have gone very sideways. And you want your kids to feel safe, and they do the checks for veteran homelessness at night. If women are sleeping at a friend's house, they're not going to be counted, and the VA does not consider couch surfing to be considered homeless. We don't want to put them. If you had a choice, would you stay with a friend or would you go to a homeless shelter?
I'd stay with a friend, but you're still homeless in my view.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. And that's what, I love that with Miss Better America, they actually have like homes, like group communal facilities where people and their whole families can be there. They take care of them. You through final salute, to support in any way that I could. So I sold flowers at biker bars. I did all kinds of auctions, like Packer stuff. When I went up home, like because I'm originally from Wisconsin. I live in Texas now, but I really had to get creative. I sold bath bombs. I found out that I was dating an actor from the movie Blood In, Blood Out. Have you seen that movie?
No, I'm gonna check it out.
Don't.
Oh, well, I'm going to now, Brandi. Blood in, blood out, folks.
Mexican Godfather. Like it's basically like I'm dead. And Jesse Borrego is the one that told me, and he was in the movie too. And he was doing an autograph signing, and they put me across from him, and I'm trying to behave. The whole time I was running for Miss Better America, I was like, I'm gonna be so good. Like I'm gonna behave. I'm not gonna do crazy stuff. Like I'm gonna behave like I used to do in the military. No, that did not happen. And basically, like the person I was dating was like, hey, tell him, I said hello. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, and he looks stupid. Like, I was like, I don't want to be that person. And so when he asked, I was like, hey, do you know this person? Yeah, I know him. Like, why isn't he here? I'm like, I don't know, man. He has stuff to do. And he goes, because we were talking about veteran homelessness before that. And he goes, no, he was in the movie too. He should be here. And I was like, oh no. And I asked him, I'm like, dude, like, why did you not tell me that you were in this movie? Like 30, 40 years, you don't look the same, right? Like basically parts of them are familiar because they're plastic. But at the end of the day, like, like some people change. And he goes, well, you're white. I didn't think you saw the movie. I was like, that's messed up, man. Stop. But it was, yeah. But at the end of the day, like as much as I tried to behave, I really couldn't. And, I actually even met Rosie the Riveter too. Like that was a whole adventure. Did you read about that?
I read that you met her, and which I'm like, okay, you met the actual Rosie the Riveter. I'm like,
we're friends.
Get out.
Wait, hold on.
So well, hang on, Brandi. You got to tell me what was it like meeting an icon?
She's like the female version of the Fonz, first of all. I've never seen so many grown-ass women run up to her, like.
Right? I mean, that is iconic.
There's only. She sent it to me in a package. She sends me mail all the time.
What did she think of yours?
She makes these too.
Get out. What are those?
Her bandana she wore in the image.
Hello. I mean, so she'd have to make one big enough for my head, but I'd wear one.
Well, she also makes them for like handkerchiefs, like neck scarves. She makes them for, like to wear them around your neck, or like when I go to like rock concerts, I'll wear it on my wrist. but you can do it around your head too. But like she, you know why the Rosies actually wore those bandanas, right? So
No,
they
I
wore
don't. I
them
mean,
because their
this
hair would get ripped out otherwise when they were doing the riveting, like on different nails in the aircraft. So that's why they had to wrap their hair. And it's unlike the opposite is how everyone else does it. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, so she was given the key to the city of Uvalde. I was her manager / handler for a week. She I basically
Hey, hey, you know what? So real quick, Brandy, this is Curtis Rutledge, Army veteran out of Bakersfield, California. Project Shift 6 is a nonprofit. He does it. I tell you what, we got to work something out. I will wear one of those to raise money for your org and his. We'll figure something out.
Well, Rosie's trying to get a statue, so we could use help there. So Rosie the Riveter is actually not represented in the World War II Museum in Washington, D.C. There's only a small plaque to commemorate the service of 16 million women during World War II, but Kilroy's in there twice. What to do is get a statue for May in the museum to represent the service of 16 million women, which because there's maybe a handful of Rosies left alive. She's 97, man. I want to do this before she dies. And she wants to see it too. So that's something that I would like to do. And I'd be happy to send you whatever you needed.
I'll tell you what. So Curtis, you're watching this right now. Let's put our heads together and figure out how we can help make this happen. So, hey, Brandy, I'm on this.
As well, if you want to auction them off. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like she's happy. And if she knew something like this, she would be happy to do it as well. She's very feisty. It's funny, we actually took her to a tank assault course and she drove it at 97.
Get out.
I have pictures that happened. She drove over a pine tree in Uvalde. That happened. I hope they put a sign up because I would be mad if they didn't. But yes.
Now,
And we had our amputee, like our suicide bomber survivor that I was telling you about that we made the bone knife with on the. She was fine.
so I gotta ask. You served, recently. She was back in World War II, putting together the bombers and the planes that helped win the war. Woman to woman, what's that like generationally meeting together and talking about you all's service? What's that connection like? For guys, we kind of just like, sniff each other and like, hey bro, what's going on? But what's it like for women to see that?
So Rosie does not actually view herself. She
Really?
does not view herself as a veteran. She does not. I look at her that way. I'm like, ma'am, you served during wartime. You were a veteran to me. It was an honor for me to meet her, much less like hang out with her and do crazy stuff for a week. Like, we would go to schools and talk. We would go to drive tanks. We went to grunt style. She went on American Grid. She kept calling them grunt people. It was hilarious, but like, I didn't correct her. I regret nothing. But like, and then she's feisty, and I told her I was like, May, I need to start behaving, and act right. Maybe I'll meet someone, because I do too much wild stuff. Do you know what she told me?
Oh
Ask me.
boy.
She
What
said,
did she tell you?
"You go out there and you give them hell." She yelled it at me. She yelled it at me. And this is like her little card she signed. Do you want me to read the back of it to you?
Oh yes, yes. Read
So
it.
So with May, May actually you and she made 5,000 masks during COVID because she was bored and it went viral. She was like, she did not expect that. Like overnight, she got like 5,000 orders, and and she's 97, mind you. But her cap and mask was launched into the International Space Station to won Rosie the Rocketeer. It was returned to her by Boeing. They framed it. Now the Smithsonian wants it.
Get out.
Her birthday is actually a National Rosie the Riveter Day. That's how. So I'll read the back. So May Cryer was born in 1912. In early 1943, May, her sister, and a friend went to Seattle where they got jobs at the Boeing factory, building B-17 and B-29 bombers and earning 90 cents an hour. 90 cents an hour. Males were paid about 4 to 5 times more than that, so you guys know. 2 weeks of training in how to drill holes prepared them for their jobs as buckers and then as riveters. And they're the riveters, so you know that. And the kids are rosebuds. And so I know a lot of insider stuff. So basically, a bucker and a riveter work in tandem, one on each side of the fuselage, bucking on the inside and riveting on the outside. We used a communication system using the bucker bar for our message. Tap it so many times to remove a rivet or so many times to hit it again, etc. I worked alongside Gold Star moms who lost a son or widows who had lost their husbands, and I was humbled by them. So they kept working despite their terrible loss, doing what their country needed of them. I'm so proud to be one of the millions that worked, but I'm especially proud of them. 2 special job memories. Check this out. Meeting General Hap Arnold and shaking his hand, where he talked about us. And the other was helping to build Boeing's 5,000th B-17, and that one is in a museum, and her name is on it. Her name's on it. When in Seattle, I met my future husband, Norm, on the dance floor. She was a huge jitterbug. In 1944, we danced our way through life. We got married in 1945. She married Navy, and we're married for nearly 70 years. He was stationed at the Naval Air Station at Pasco, Washington, and I got a job with Army engineers for 83 cents an hour. I actually work with Italian POWs, which they got paid at like 80 cents an hour, might I add. So she got paid what the POWs did.
Wow.
She won't say it, but I will. But so basically, she's talking about, though we weren't in the trenches, I thought Rosie needed some kind of recognition for what she did during the war. Everything the soldiers needed, we made. Planes, jeeps, ships, tanks, ammunition, and parachutes. We were soldiers without guns, and to that end, May worked tirelessly for the National Rosie the Riveter Day on March 21st, her birthday, as well as achieving the Congressional Gold Medal on behalf of all Rosies. Power up, as May would say.
It just reminds me how much I don't know about, what happened in the past. And,
she does have a footwear, yeah. He's right.
Well, is she a veteran? I guess technically she is not, but I'm telling you what, without those 16 million women, we don't go and take back Europe. We can't go to the Pacific Islands. I mean, we couldn't have done what we did to get to Japan. We couldn't have done it.
Yeah, she would always joke with the World War II veterans when she goes to events that when we built the planes, they were in perfect condition, and you guys were the ones that brought them back all shot up, and they would get all mad. But she wasn't wrong.
So we were talking last night and today, and we're making this work. And folks, you got to understand, this whole thing happened in less than 24 hours. Now, I don't know about how Brandi works, but generally, I get a couple emails, maybe a phone call or two. We kind of work out it's a lot of lead time. I'm like, you know what? Brandy's good at what she does. I know that, I'm pretty comfortable with what I do. We're like 2 comic book heroes. Let's cross over and do this. But you said something. You had some really like different parts of your story that you hadn't shared before. And I was just curious if you would consider sharing those parts now.
Sure. What parts did you want to hear about?
Oh, wow. Well, oh my God. And we've blown through an hour here. This is like, it's like I've been here for like 5 minutes. I'm having a great time. Well, there's a lot I don't know about you, of course. I watch the show, so on and so forth, but I'm really interested in, how Brainy got to here now. What's that story like when, because Brandy, I know what physical pain is like. I don't want to get into my story right now, maybe another show, but I know what that's like. I know it's like having to rebuild yourself and pull yourself up out of the valley, right? So I'm more interested in, when you started getting these wins, the Miss Veteran America, Rosie the Riveter, so on and so forth. How did that fuel what you're doing now? Because the
Yeah,
podcasting thing, everything you're doing now, I understand it's hard.
it's not easy, guys. Wrangling guests and dealing with stations and other podcasters or personalities, or what if they cancel 2 seconds before your show starts, or what if you have internet issues? All kinds of stuff. There's so many things that can happen. But for me, really, I mean, it I was empowered by that point. I had to do a lot of alternative medical treatments. I had friends that treated special, like the SOG guys, and they were like, "We know what you were like before. This seeing you this way is unacceptable." And I was like, "Doc, dude, like, what do you want from me? Like, I can't change. I don't know what to do." And he goes, "This is what you're gonna do." And he was talking about the stellate ganglion block, but because I can't get the injection here because of the fact that like my blood clotting, doing ketamine infusions, and I did ketamine infusions mixed with Versed through the VA. And there's 5 centers throughout the U.S. that do them, and it helped immensely as far as helping me deal with my PTSD. I had to take a 12-week program to manage and understand and identify all my triggers. I needed an alpha stimulator device, which I cannot recommend enough to veterans. But it just clips to your ears, just like you're sitting here now, like you could have done a treatment in the elevator so you feel great and it gets rid of migraines. Really putting myself first. I was at 90% for 10 years. And I was like everybody, oh, I don't want to change it because they might take, I heard one guy had it lowered or something dumb. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did it and I fought for it. And I told myself I was going to treat it like a second job. And I did. And I got the 100%. And, after I did that, I wanted to help other veterans really have, like, I guess your benefits changed, but you don't realize it. There's so many things that are claimable now, especially with the PACT Act passing, that veterans don't realize. Like looking and knowing what's in your record, especially the public health side, especially Marines at 29 Palms, there's always stuff about asbestos in y'all's records. Always. And like that's usually like part 2 or 3. But every time you're exposed, they actually have, as far as a secondary condition or a condition stemming from that exposure. Like, for example, I just reviewed a record for a Marine, and he had like 18 URIs in like 12 months. And he didn't realize that that was something he could claim because he was, I guess, exposed to asbestos. And that's when I read, I'm like, look, did you know you were exposed? Like, it tells you right here. And he goes, no, I had no idea. And helping people like that, seeing the effect, downrange, and they were afraid to say something because they were drinking. 50 to 70% of sexual assaults happen due to with alcohol present. That has nothing to do bearing wise on your claims. And I've had to fight some women like white cats because I was like, the worst thing that they'll tell you is no, but if they tell you yes, that could change your life. 90 to 100% is $1,000 a year, like a month. So like that, a lot of us could use an extra $1,000. I'm just saying, and so for me, like I can't do it as well as I once could. They actually did a test on me before, and like to see the difference between my left and right hemisphere, and it was like 200% different. So I'm like, there's only 100%. I'm like crying for like imaginary patients I couldn't save. But at the end of the day, like, if my knowledge or the people that I've met through my podcast, because I've had some amazing guests, I've met some awesome veterans in my wild adventures, but for me, it's just knowing that I can and empower people, to be different. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not ask for help and suffer in silence. I guess that's my driving motivating factors.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here with U.S. Air Force veteran Staff Sergeant Brandi Pett, who's retired, talking about her story. And, I've been following you for a while now, and just amazed at the resilience you have. And it's just really great that you got on here with me tonight. We're not going to get all the good stuff in one show, Brandi. Will you come back and talk with me again?
Of course.
Right, all right, all right. So, um, I'm going to get with Curtis out in California. We're going to talk about the Rosie the Riveter statue. We'll
If
get
we
with.
event for her, I can talk to her and see if she want to come on and appear too.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, it'd be like a ultimate crossover, right? Let's do this.
Yeah,
Um,
I was her very first podcast she ever did, so I could talk to May and see what her thoughts are on it and how busy she is. I know she's limiting some of her engagements because she's crazy busy, like so busy. Yeah, like 7 to 10 trips a month at least, going to different places all over. But May is amazing. She did a podcast for us. If you go to Apple Podcast and type in "Yes, I'm the Veteran" podcast, it's on there. Words from Rosie. We actually had her with Ad Council Cecilia Marie. She donates tattoos to veterans with PTSD, and that's what we were selling Rosie the Riveter stickers earlier this year, and we're still selling them now. And our podcast stickers for $5, they're like these really cool holographic vinyl stickers. And one of them says, "Go out there and give him hell," because of her May, because she was giving me a hard time. But it's going to give veterans of PTSD, especially females, tattoos from that art. But she did mine here.
so that's way too many needles for me, Brandi.
Actually, she's amazing.
I avoid shots like the plague, so I'm very impressed, but I'm not getting tattooed.
No, I'm not
But
saying you get tattooed, but maybe one of your viewers would want to get tattooed.
oh well, see, you're thinking. Okay, I got you, I got you. So, um,
Waitlist.
okay,
And Chris
all right.
Winston has been
Now the
asking me to
podcast,
tattoo another veteran.
really, okay.
Oh yes, and that is a Marine brother too.
Your podcast is on Apple Podcasts, right? It's
Yeah.
Yes, I Am the Veteran podcast.
Yes, I would do that. May will not get a tattoo, but we just told her there was a 106-year-old tattooer and showed her pictures. Her face is hilarious. But yes, I would do that for May. Podcast. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube, Facebook. If you have questions, if you want to know maybe something a little bit more about what I touched on, or even if you have a Rosie question, she also has a page called Honor Rosie, that kind of keeps you up to date on what she's doing. But absolutely, if you guys want to maybe do something where we can raise money for a statue for her, and we can, if anyone knows about Ariel, hit me up because I need to know the process, because I'm still looking into it. But at the end of the day, it's about recognizing the service of 16 million women that answered the nation's call, and they were not drafted, they volunteered. So at the end of the day, if Kilroy can be in there twice, Rosie can be in there at least once. Come on, guys.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So we're going to have Brandi back on. We'll unpack some of this and dig a little bit more and find out more, because I think tonight, I just learned a whole lot more about resilience. It's one thing to have somebody, some motivational speaker, talk about resilience. It's another thing to see it right in front of you. So I just want to thank you, Brandi, for, kind of opening my eyes to a different side of what resilience looks like. Thank you.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for having me on and popping on with me in such short notice. I feel so bad. That's not with me. That's not how I do things. But your time and like I said, I appreciate you, brother. And to be continued.
To be continued. Look, folks, just like comic books, just like two superheroes coming together for a crossover. We'll be doing this again. There's a lot going on here. Brandi, thank you for coming on. She's Oscar Mike, folks. She's Oscar Mike. Her mission's in flight. Brandi, thank you again, and good night, everyone.
Good night. Be good or be good at it.
We